There's an old adage that says you can't be too rich or too thin. Now, I may not totally agree with that, but I'll put a corollary to it, and I'm going to say you can't have too much RAM in a computer. Everything you do on your computer counts on your RAM. Every active program that's running needs RAM in order to have the workspace it needs to do what it needs to do. Now, if you run out of RAM, you can run into a big problem. Let me show you what I'm talking about using a beaker I've got over here. Here's a graduated beaker. Now this beaker is going to represent all of the memory, all the RAM in my computer. So you'll see I've got it graduated from 0 up to 16 gigabytes because, well, that's how much memory I have in my PC. Now when I boot that computer up, some of this is going to be used for the operating system itself. So in Windows it's usually around 2 gigs. Now as we begin to load more and more programs, they begin to take up more and more space in this beaker. So some programs are fairly small, whereas other programs can be extreme. This is some big graphics program or something like that, taking up a lot of space. Now what you're looking at here is over time, as we begin to load more and more programs, we are suddenly in a position where we're about to use all of the memory. And if we use all the memory, you get one simple error called out of memory. And when that happens, your computer says, we're not going to go any further. So we really want to avoid out of memory errors. Now, in order to do that, we've got a little trick we can do. And this trick is to take a little bit of our hard drive and make it look, act, bark, smell, taste, and think that it's RAM. I know it's crazy, but it works. And we call this virtual memory. Now, every operating system has the virtual memory feature. And the thing I want to stress to you is we don't want to use virtual memory. We want to have enough RAM in our computers. Virtual memory is that thing we use every now and then and we're like, whoa, I'm using virtual memory. I've got a problem. I need to add more RAM. So virtual memory, although it's built into every operating system, it's not something we want to use. It's something that just keeps us running until we can open the system up and snap some more sticks in there. So what I'm going to use is Windows to take a look, and we can actually look at our virtual memory. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So in Windows, I could go over into my system properties, and I go into advanced settings. UAC doesn't like me to do that. Over here in advanced, and I click right here on settings. This is Windows 10, by the way, and hit advanced again. That was what, like 3 advanced in a row? Anyway, you get this screen right here, and it says virtual memory. So right now it has about 64 gigabytes set aside as virtual memory. That seems big, but this is what Microsoft likes. So let's hit change. And what you'll see up here, this is the important one. In fact, you're going to see this on the exam too, and that is automatically manage paging file. Paging file is the actual part of the hard drive that thinks it's RAM. Automatically manage paging file size for all drives. In the Windows 10 world, we set that to automatic. If for some bizarre reason you wanted to manually configure this, you could. However, the days of manual configuration of these files is long over. So he's like, okay, so let's just cancel all that. And we're just going to go ahead and leave him automatic. What we have now is this paging file, this chunk of our hard drive that thinks it's RAM, ready to go. It's not an easy thing to find, but it's actually on our computers. It's on every operating system, but in Windows, I can actually take it and we can take a little look at it. So I'm going to open up a command prompt. If you're not familiar with command prompts, we've got lots of episodes in this series that cover it. And what I'm going to go is to the actual, what we call the root directory of the C drive, and I'm going to use a special command called dir. And this dir command, I'm going to put this little thing on the end that says, show me everything that has the attribute of hidden. So I want to see anything that we couldn't normally see. And if you take a look right here, do you see this guy? Where it says swapfile.sys. And this is a pretty big file right now, but it's nowhere near as big as we saw in the settings. It's a lot smaller than that. The reason is Microsoft is not going to take 64 gigabytes of your hard drive and set it aside for your swap file. It starts very small. In this case, it's about 1/4 of a gigabyte, but it can go ahead and grow up to that large if necessary. You don't want to use this. The alternative to not having a swap file is that your system's going to hopefully just give you a scary error screen and not work. It could also even freeze up your computer. The trick is this. If you start using virtual memory, and by the way, be careful with terminology here. You'll see people going, oh, I'm using the swap file. What it means is they're using virtual memory. Whenever you run into these types of scenarios, it's pretty painfully obvious. Number one, your computer slows way down because now your CPU, instead of writing to RAM, is trying to write to a spot on the hard drive. And all of a sudden, if you've got a desktop system or a lot of laptops that has a little light that shows you that your hard drive is active, that thing starts going nuts. That's a clue that you're using virtual memory. The way you fix this is to simply add more RAM. Trust me, it's a lot easier than it used to be in the old days where we would try to configure these things and play with it. Today, you have this virtual memory, you start to slow down a lot, and the fix is simple. Just add some RAM.